morning, everyone. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we're just here before you today, asking you to watch over this meeting, that be with everyone through the county as they go about their lives this week, and help everyone to have a happy Thanksgiving. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Make a motion, we approve the claims for the amount of $129,488.88.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Clerk report.
The 2024 park year-to-date report, receipts for the month of October, $38,939.07 for a year-to-date total of receipts of $284,140.09. Then expenditures for October was $23,195.27. And expenditures year-to-date is $237,611.35 for a total gain of, for the year, of $46,528.74. Does the lagoon and everything go on here too, David? No? Does it go in a category on here anywhere?
We had some of that we'd put money away for, so it doesn't all show up on there, and I don't have all those details out with me, but for the most part, no, it's not included in that.
All right, you got anything else right off the bat?
I just got the sheriff's report in, and I'm getting it out to your SharePoint, but you guys may have an email on it too.
I don't know, mine don't work. Is yours working?
I had trouble I can get it to you here, or read it to you here in just a second if you want.
I got it right here.
You got it? Okay.
The sheriff's report for November 25th, total prisoners in 67, 8 released this past week. 65 of them are in our jail, 2 of them are farmed out. Total farmed in 46. Total 911 calls 65. Total jail contacts 4,612. Total calls for service 646. Total civil service papers served 32. VIN inspections 9. 23 new open cases, 3 closed cases, 12 vehicle crashes, 77 SRO activities, 189 bailiff contacts, and 5 lost livestock. AMR.
Good morning, Dawn Brooks with AMR. I've got the monthly report from November 1st through the 24th. Blue Mound had 9 calls, 2 transports. Centerville had 7 calls, 3 transports. Lacine had 22 calls, 11 transports. Fontana, 5 calls, 2 transports. Linn Valley, 6 calls, 3 transports. Mound City, 18 calls, 10 transports. Parker, 15 calls, 8 transports. Pleasanton, 36 calls, 18 transports. Prescott, 6 calls, 3 transports for a total of 121 calls and 60 transports as of November 24th. All I got.
Thank you, Don.
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hagwald, Linn County Emergency Management and Rural Fire. I sent out this week's call totals. We had 6 calls for the week, brings our yearly total up to 489. We did receive our new fit test machine. We're still waiting on the adapter to take it to a Draeger mask, but as soon as we get that in, we'll start fit testing. That's all I have this week, unless you have questions.
I don't have any.
I know, you can be here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a couple of resolutions if you're ready to get into that. Just a second. So for the capers to KP&F on the sheriff and fire, there's a couple of resolutions that need to be approved to get that done. It's 2024-34 and 35. And the first one is for the transfer from capers to KP&F. And the second one is for the optional group life with KP&F, which we already have with capers, but they need a resolution on that also to get the KP&F set up. So if you want to take a look at those.
So our question on KP&F was if we were going to back pay for some of the employees.
Yeah, we did not budget for that, but we're still trying to work out some details on that part of it.
Do we have like a price it's going to cost, or
I don't
a
have
number?
that in
No?
front of
It
me.
was, I thought we were supposed to have the price it was gonna cost before we actually voted on it. Even the sheriff talked about that when we was in the budget. We'd talked about, going to.
Well, didn't we spend the money on the
Study?
study? The 1,500,
I'll
2,500?
have to look back into that.
We did
were
just
supposed to-
study that, and they were supposed to get back with us to see what it was gonna cost us, whether we wanted to buy in the bike or, I haven't seen any numbers. So
I haven't either.
Yeah, and I'll have to check back into that. I don't
Okay.
know off the top of my head. But I think in order to get anything done, we're gonna need these resolutions because they need to be in like a month before the end of the year, which means this week. So,
So we need to. So we're still trying to see if we're going to do back pay for the.
yeah,
I mean, that's the question all along, right?
Plus what it was gonna cost us too. I mean, we spent money to see this, so it's,
David, you're saying we have to have those signed this week?
yeah, because they're wanting these like now.
it was quite a few months ago we did this.
Study, yeah. Or we asked for the study.
Yeah.
That's when Kevin brought that lady in, right?
Mhm.
Can we come back to that, David?
Yeah.
So, just real quick. This is saying that we're going to transfer from capers to KP&F?
Yeah.
This is our contract?
Yeah, this is the resolution to transfer those people into KP&F. It actually doesn't mention the part about the back pay part of it.
This is just all police officers and firefighters, right?
Right.
We can't check into it and see what it's gonna cost and still get it done next week.
I don't think, because I think they want this resolution in hand before the end of the month.
Randy, how many firefighters you got?
2.
That'll be eligible for this, just 2, right?
Right.
David may be able to answer some of the questions on that. As far as the difference in the cost between the capers and the KPNF, but the back pay would be separate than this. That would be a whole different issue. But as far as what it's costing to go from capers to KPNF, I think that's what this resolution would cover, is just the switching to the KPF for the deputies and fire. I don't think it addresses the back pay part of
It
it.
doesn't on the resolution.
But David may be able to answer that. What's the difference between the capers and the KPNF? Because KPNF is more expensive to go to for retirement.
Yeah, and I,
We realized it would be, but I thought we were supposed to have the numbers is what I thought. So when we voted it.
yeah, when I'm looking at the actual difference, and this is estimate because it's going to vary on how many people and what they make. But at the time we did budget, it was 197,416 is the additional cost just to have those people in KPNF over what capers would be.
And that's for how many?
Let me get back to that.
What were we estimating?
That is 23 people.
So that's the 2 firemen and then the rest of the police officers.
Yeah, there's 21 or
Officers.
officers. So that's roughly $8,500 a person difference for a year. Now that obviously is going to be different on different people depending on what
Right.
they make because it's a percentage.
I'm okay with the transfer of going from capers to KPNF. I think that they deserve it. I think it's it's an asset to the county, trying to get people to come here and work. And
The additional cost will be $8,583 per.
That's an average per
Right.
person.
Right, I know,
It's-
but that's,
Yeah, the rates, the difference in the rates is the capers rate on the county contribution is 10.71 and the KPNF rate is 24.67. So it's just a hair under 14% more.
okay.
what do you think? I'd still like to see what the back pay number would be that we paid for to figure that out.
I agree.
And I can see if I can get the rest of that information, and I don't have anything here with me.
I thought we paid for it earlier. Is that not right?
I can't remember. I thought did.
We asked for it, we approved the bill.
That's what I'm saying.
So these resolutions are just a
To switch over to
stepping
KPN.
stone to get it going, David.
Right, there's 2 of them. The first one is the application to transfer, which is just putting those people in that system. And the other one is the affiliation for optional group life, which that part's not a county cost. That's if people want to get into the life policies.
I would be all right with moving forward with signing these resolutions and getting going on it. And I'd still like to see what those study numbers are though.
When does that have to be in for the study if we decided to back pay ones?
I'm not sure without going through all this.
I think everything had to be done by the first of the year.
Everything, including this too, or
What?
this?
This right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, didn't they tell us that it was gonna be the calendar year?
Yes.
That they wouldn't switch mid-year, you know, so like, that's why they're pushing on us on this
I
deadline.
believe that is correct.
That we could only, if we don't switch for January 1, it'll be January 1 of next year would be the first opportunity we'd have to switch.
Well, see what I'm saying is, what's the hurry here if we decide to go back pay then? Is that not an option to us now then, right?
What's the hurry here if what? I missed that.
If we decide to back pay, then we can't do that this year because this is the deadline. I'm saying.
I was under the impression everything was by the first of the year, so
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know.
This is, do we still have a few more days, a month to decide? I'd like to hear what the plan has to say that we paid for.
Well, there's a phone number here. Can we call that today?
We can try.
I agree with your thoughts, Danny, on it being a good recruiting tool and that we can use it to help retain our employees as well. So I'm in favor of going to the KPF, just like you are.
Well, before we adjourn today, maybe we can call these people and figure out exactly what we need to do and
Sounds good to me.
try to answer some questions. Anything else, David?
I don't believe I have anything else right at the moment. We did schedule the tie breaking on the election on the township officers for 10:30. So we tried to notify people that are the ones that are tied to give them the opportunity to be here. Darcy called numbers that we could find for anybody that was on there. Now, whether anybody actually shows up or not to listen, I don't know, but we'll be ready for that about 10:30.
We have that Judge Hart note on here. I had talked to her and I misread her email. She went to talk the 24th or whatever, the 25th, after hours because she wasn't going to be available. So if you guys are good, I'll just go talk with her and explain to her what, I can try to get my email, but it won't let me,
That's fine.
about the courtroom.
It's fine with me.
I'm good with it. I really don't think it's a good idea to move over there myself. But I think we're fine here. You can go talk to her.
Yeah, I said, and it just said, would you mind scheduling some after? And I misread that. So,
Okay. That's fine.
all right, Sean.
John is not here today. Jesse is here.
Jesse Walton, operations manager for Linn County Roads. Sean's out of town, so go over what he's got here for you guys today. The 900 road project. I was understood that pictures were emailed to you of the culvert that had partially moved and collapsed on us out there. We were getting the pad all shored up so we could bring in our cement truck and pour cement on Friday. And Todd called me Friday morning, went out and looked at it, and part of that too, the center of it had moved and collapsed on us in there. We reached out to Chad with the on-call engineering. We have not heard back from him yet. I told Sean and Todd I didn't want to touch it until Chad got out there to look and give direction on how he wants to proceed on that. So we're kind of at a standstill again on that project out there. Sean was waiting for a call back with the insurance company on that project due to where we've spent so much money on this project so far. He has not heard anything back yet, but just so you know, he has reached out to them to see if there's anything that they can do to help us out on that project. Rock prices, that list was sent to you. I put that together of the products that we use daily and the price difference in it on there.
So like where would we use the PB2?
So that's just like 2-inch rock when we put in a base for culverts or things of that nature to shore up a road or a
Okay.
entrance. Same thing with the 4-inch ditch liner. We'll use it on the ditches. The 6-inch ditch liner was the same cost from there.
And those are the major ones that we're seeing a big
Those-
difference.
Yep. Those are the ones that we use most constantly.
And the second one is Whitaker's, right?
Yep. So you got Ham on the left and Whitaker on the right there in the center, and then the cost difference between the two.
Some of those prices are very hardcore.
Now, is this with anybody's price increase for next year or that's
That is current prices.
current price?
Current prices.
Ham said they were going up
Yep.
7 or 8%, 7%, I believe.
Correct. Actually, this is next year's prices with Hams when I put it together for you.
Hams, but
Yep, that's got their next year. I don't have
Whitaker.
Whitaker's
Okay,
prices for next year, but that's their current pricing.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, next, the straight line striping. Sean's been taking care of most of that with you guys on that. We do have a bore permit, 2024-11 for Chad Page. It's out here on 7 Highway and 1050. I went out and looked at it. Sean and I both signed it on that. You guys,
The water line.
it's a water line, a 2-inch water line. They're going to bore under that road under 1050.
You guys have any questions on it?
I don't have.
I don't. I'll make a motion that we approve burial permit 2024-11 for Linn County Rural Water District number 2 for a 2-inch water line.
I'll
I'll
second.
say,
Motion been moving second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we went out and put out for salt bids. We got 2 back. If you want to open those.
There's another signature page.
Oh.
we have very much salt left right now, or?
We have some left, yes. Yep.
Is that one just yours or all three?
All three. Is there a certain time of year you can go out for salt bids to get a good price, or do they?
This is about the best time to go out for a salt bid on it.
This one's from Central Salt out of Lyons, Kansas. Their bid price would be $71.88 per ton delivered.
This is Coonchick, Chapman Coal, Pittsburgh. Cost of regular road salt per ton would be $70.80 delivered. Then they have what they call snow slicer salt. It's $92.28 a ton delivered.
How many tons are we slated to get?
So we usually get 3 truckloads at each shop. I can't remember how many ton they haul on their trucks coming in.
It was on the bid that we approved.
So we'll turn these back.
But if
in
you'll-
and let him qualify them and come back with a.
Yeah, if you'll let us qualify them, then we'll come back to you.
Sure.
This says 26.5 tons.
Where's that on the load? Per load, yeah, 26.5.
What was the company name on the first one? I didn't catch.
Central Salt.
Didn't do a very good job clearing up.
I also have a tire bid here. It's the only one that came in. If you want to open that and look at it. And then we'll go through that bid and make sure it's everything the way to put on that order of what they bid it on.
Well, we usually get 2 or 3 bids, don't we, on tires?
We do.
They usually come in 2 or 3.
This looks like a bunch of numbers. We'll look at it. Have Sean qualify it and bring us back with total numbers.
That it's broken down per tire. Who's it from?
Was it Goodyear?
Good year.
The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company.
Next, we have our New Holland tractor that we discussed about getting fixed. I've got 3 estimates here. I just want you to look at to see what we're up against on this tractor. It's more than what we had asked to be approved for with each company that they had talked to. This one out of Missouri was our best one. The other 2 are going to be right here with that number.
We're valuing this tractor at what, 60 plus?
Yeah.
Was there more things wrong or what?
Well, I don't think there's more things wrong. What this is the worst case scenario going through and replacing
Oh.
everything through it on this one and this one. This is the one that replaces everything that we asked them to replace that we found wrong with the tractor. These other two will go through pumps that are in the rear end, the hydraulic pumps in the rear end, that if they need replaced, to replace them when they're in there.
So what's your suggestion? We fix this thing, sell it, fix
I
it,
think
and
we
use
fix
it?
this thing and sell it, get rid of it.
So should we do this one?
I think so. If I can ask that you approve up to 20 in case they run into a problem. And we've called them and they can get that tractor in and get it out. I think they told me a month to get it in, split it.
How does it compare with not putting the pumps, the prices with, these got extra parts is what I'm saying.
Correct, they do.
Versus,
That's
how's,
just the parts that we've told them need replaced. The pictures.
what's this bid look like with that is what I'm saying.
Well, they,
So we're not comparing apples. I mean,
well,
they're
they
saying
won't bid it that way.
they won't at all.
No,
Huh?
they won't bid it that
And when they get in there, they're gonna replace it.
Hmm?
way.
When they get in there, they're gonna replace
This
it.
one.
No,
No, these
Oh,
ones.
they're gonna replace it when they get in
no
there.
matter what, huh?
That would be my guess, don't you think? That's why they're bidding it that way. They're saying that that's the,
They're saying that if they get in there and that's the problem, they're gonna replace it on.
This guy, I mean, this company too, if they get in there and they see this is messed up, where we're at, see what I'm saying is, we need to compare,
Well,
if we're gonna compare bids.
I went through this with Craig and everything's, all the parts match up all the way through except that hydraulic pump that's in the rear
so the difference is that pump.
is that pump.
So
And
basically,
what Jim
this
is,
is the same with the pump.
Correct.
so the pump's gonna add an extra $6,000-7,000.
Yeah, that's, so we got the differential here that in.
5774.
Yep. And so there's the housing, same housing. There's your pump.
So that would be 22 with the, roughly. What was that price?
Yeah, see it,
17,924
17924.
plus the 5774.
What was the pump? Is this pump the same on both of them?
This one, 805.
Oh.
But then you've got this hydraulic valve that runs with this pump.
So it's 805 and you're only at 19,167 there.
And you're suggesting we give you up to 20,000 allowance?
Correct.
If they get in there and they say that's mandatory to fix that?
Right.
Okay. So even if this one puts in all the parts, it's still a lot cheaper than these two.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Good with it? What do you think, Jason? You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Up to 20?
Yep.
And we think we can get 60.
That's what they're saying, that it's worth. But even if you double what you're spending on it, you're winning.
And we've had it, we got our life out of it. How many years have we used it? Do you know?
We bought it brand new. And I don't know what year we bought it. It's got, I think they said 2,000 hours on it, so it doesn't have a lot of hours on
Sure is forte. What do you think?
Hmm?
So this is your forte. What do you guys think?
You gotta fix it.
Much for it. When it's not running.
Not doing us any good sitting there.
So if we sell it, we're going to be looking into doing the lease thing again.
I think so.
You start spending 20,000 on it and depreciation on the tractor, it's no repair.
I'll make a motion that we allow Jesse to spend up to 20,000 on the New Holland tractor with S&H Farm and Supply Company Incorporated.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you got your cost summary by location that was sent to you. Our total service requests, total opened, 510 closed, 475. There's 35 still open. The reports for last week, 12 open, 4 closed, 8 are still open. Activity cost by location from April till now was 1275. Total number of gravel roads, 980, 77% complete. Monday in Pleasanton, checked roads and hand dug out culverts during the rainstorm. The blades were out and assisted jacking projects in the shop. Blades were out again the rest of the week. Thursday, I went out and prepped 900 road project for concrete on Friday, and we discussed what had happened there. So we put that on hold for a minute with that one.
So on that, let's talk about that for a minute. So on that, what's our, you said it collapsed or moved, and
Did you get the pictures of that, Danny?
I actually went out and looked at it. I live right
Okay.
there. So I stopped and looked at it. What's our next steps? This
So
thing-
we reached out to Chad, waiting for Chad to get back. I'm going to call Chad back when we get done here and see if I can get a hold of him to figure out what he wants to do there. That tube definitely is going to have to come out. There's no way we can proceed with the way it is.
So it'll take a new tube.
Yep, and we've got one. We think we can salvage half of that other tube that's on the north end.
So is this a design flaw or what? What is,
I don't think it's a design flaw. I think it was just a problem with all the rain we got and trying to build a pad so we could get our cement trucks in there. I believe that during the rainstorm where we had so much saturated dirt in there, that weight of that dirt just pushed on that tube. And we've already got that tube blocked in there with cement blocks on either end in the center of it. And that weight of that dirt just pushed on it and pushed that tube.
So it's not because they didn't think the tube would float.
Correct. It's just the nature of the beast on that one. I don't think Todd did anything wrong by going in there and moving that dirt around so we get a cement truck in there. I think it was just how it went.
yeah, can you give us an update on that one after you talk to him?
I sure will. Yep. The Mound City Shop, they got their grader going, got the injectors back in it, and it's back out running on the road. They did some ditching down on 400 and Quail and replaced some culverts on 400 Quail. They started prepping the road for the 1350 road project. Went out and set grade marks so that we can get that road built up where it needs to be. The graders were out blading and the lease tractor was out mowing. In the north shop, they had several trees down that were removed and cleaned up and out of the way. Graders were out all week, and the mow tractor was out mowing 4 of the 5 days due to the rain. Any questions on any of that?
No.
Okay, on Wednesday, we met with FEMA. Went out with them and looked at the 6 sites that were on my list. This is very informative to me as we went out and discussed how these things go. We're in the process of putting together the costs for them, also the estimated cost and time of when we should have these projects done. Shauna's reached out to everybody. We're still waiting back for one more email to come back. Whether or not we need to do permits on some of those projects. There's just one we're waiting on. That's that old rock culvert on Baskerville and 1700.
So these 6 spots where they came into question, we're seeing if FEMA covered the cost of it for the flood, right?
Correct.
And these are sites that we came aware of after, because we did the culvert inspections?
No, this is during, right after the rain.
Oh, okay.
So these are ones that were big trouble spots. The only one that came in after was the Baskerville one. All the other ones were on radar with that.
Did you see any red flags with FEMA that they're not going to cover that? Is there any?
No, they were really informative of how to go about it to make sure we get everything in line and what we can do with mitigation to recoup some of that money, and to help out for future ends in those spots to help us.
So on every other spot in the county, I mean, we obviously haven't went around and checked every spot. I mean, how do we go about that? Make sure we're covered.
So I'm not real sure on all that, but we did turn all of that into them. They came in and scanned all of our work tickets, rock tickets. Through that, those things will all be processed through there with all the man hours and fuel and gravel that we paid for to do that, to recoup that. So the guy that was here doing that, I know Joyce and Sean visited with him quite a bit on that end. I mainly just went out on these 6 spots and helped take care of that on the ground out there. So. The compactor agreements. David, is someone else coming in for that today?
I believe people from Pleasanton and Lacine were going to be in, but that's scheduled for 11:15.
Do you want me to wait on the rest of these agreements till that time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd wait till we get them all, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then just driveway application is the last thing I have for Marlowe Page up on Giroux Road. I went and looked at these and there's no conflict with our roadway on that. So just to let you know there. You need any other questions for me?
I don't have.
I don't have any.
Okay. Thank you.
Got an email from Rose a few minutes ago about the Christmas and longevity lunch. We have that scheduled for Friday the 6th at noon at the Christian Church here in town. I know she's been working on getting all the longevity thing, like jackets and bags and things that we'll give to people that hit some of the milestones, and we'll have the longevity pay ready to go for that day.
What are we doing for dinner on that?
I know what we've been working, Leonard was working with us on some of that. I'm not sure what all the details are.
It's the same thing as last year.
But it sounds like about the same thing we did last year for dinner, which was that hams. And that was one, at least a lot of the times over the years, you guys have either come and helped or kicked some money in or done some of both. So if you're willing to do that, we can get that lined up. I'm sure we could use some help on that day too, getting everything going.
Yeah,
I can be there.
I'll be there too.
And then we donated $100 each.
I think that's what you did last time.
I'm
fine
good with
as
that.
well.
What'd you say, noon?
On the 6th.
Okay.
So that'll be like the day after KAC's over.
I'm good with that if you guys are.
Yep.
You just want to just turn the money into you, David, or do we?
Yeah, that's fine. We can just put it in I'll give it to Janet to pay in. And
Anything else?
I think that's all I've got at the moment.
Chastity back there.
Is she? Okay, yeah, come on up.
have just a couple updates with a handful of things. First, on the airport, there is no supplies to fix the lights that we thought we might have. So I would like to know what you would like for me to do at this point, as in go and figure out exactly what we need and the price of that, or how you would like for me to handle that.
Hold on, I'm trying to get to your report. Give me 1 second.
Currently, there is over 50% of the lights that are not currently working. So we are not in evening use of an airport. The birds continue to take out the antennas and the little black buttons that are on the top of the solar light piece. So from what I understand, there is a plastic button piece that can be replaced with that. I'm working on the cost for those. So.
Seems like a heck of a liability to me. Have people flying there.
A NOTAM has been
lights.
sent out that says that we cannot do an evening or after dark takeoff or landing. So,
You sent a notice out? Okay.
yep.
So you think we're good for now, or what? I mean,
That is indefinitely until either these lights are fixed or we decide what we're going to do. I just want to know how you want me to, if you want me to replace them, or if you would like for me to get prices on what it's going to cost to replace them. As I mentioned, I don't have an exact number. The day I went out, it was pouring down rain, so I literally just drove after, all of the notifications I had to give to be able to do that. But over 50% of the lights are either missing an antenna and the button, or one or the other.
I think we ought to go out and see what it is going to cost before we do it, right?
yeah.
I think definitely before we do it, but are we going to do it at all?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm against it.
With that being
You're
said,
against fixing it.
Yeah.
I am too, really. Has anybody reached out to Pleasanton to see?
that's what I was about to inform you. We have a hearing on December 2nd regarding,
About the taxes? Okay,
yep. So Darren will be with that as well.
okay.
So I will check on cost at this point just to have some information given to you, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
This next thing I have for you is the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission. Our next meeting will be December 12th, but in reference to that, there is a deadline for the remaining ARPA funding, and that is the end of the year, December 31st of this year. You will be receiving bids on December 16th in regards to that tipping floor that they would like to use at the
Landfill.
waste management place, yes.
Get them by the 16th and we still have time to decide.
Yes,
what-
it should just take a few minutes, or honestly, a day or two to complete that paperwork with Carrie Spoon down at Southeast Kansas, and we should be good.
Do you know what our dollar figure is?
It's like $739,000.
739.
And we just have to allocate that money towards that project.
It's all it can be used for, and from what I understand from Sean, it will exceed that amount
So
that we are given.
I think there was still some outstanding with QuickCom that we never decided if we were paying. the
They're
final-
10%,
Yeah.
but it would be allocated.
Yeah, it was allocated to them, but I think that's still hanging out there. We haven't had a decision on how to handle that.
Okay.
The last thing that I have is, I see on the agenda you're going to talk with Brightspeed here shortly, but I also wanted to let you know last Thursday and Friday, I had a conversation with a lady in regards to the Kansas Broadband Planning Organization. They're only going to address Centerville, Blue Mound, and Prescott. However, as I've done some more digging, Blue Mound and Centerville have reached some broadband with QuickCom, and Prescott has Crawcan coming into them. I spoke to Crawcan personally on Friday. So they are making their way this direction and will go as far south and then as far north as, I may butcher the name, but Littell Cemetery. So Crawcan is kept making its way as well. The only information this young lady could give to me was that there is $997,000, not just directly for Linn County. There's 5 other counties that this money would be dispersed to. And all it's going to do is give us information. They're technically going to send an engineer in and tell us what the infrastructure could look like. That's all that money is going to do. It's not going to bring broadband to us. It's not going to provide anything else to us other than telling us, technically an engineer, telling us what we have the capabilities of doing.
What the design could be.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we already have
And we-
internet service to those areas.
Correct. Yes. So the couple places in Centerville that do not have internet are a couple places that those people don't want internet. That's the reason they live there. They literally do not want it. So anyway, I have a call into this woman has called into me. We have a tentative meeting as well on December 6th at 10:30 in the morning. It's a 45-minute meeting. I just want to know if you want to go with this or if you would like to table it at this point, for the simple fact Brightspeed is here as well, going to, I believe, maybe give you something similar to what I'm sharing with you. If I'm being completely honest, this young lady could not give me a ton of information. She is very new at this as well. And like I said, mentioned mainly, it was just providing an engineer.
Okay.
And that's all that money can be used for, is that engineer.
So would you just update us after you have that meeting?
Sure. I can do that.
I'm good with that.
And I think we've got another company besides Broadspeed that's also inquiring about some of this too, that they're all coming out because they think there might be some money available, I think.
There's all kinds of signs strung out throughout the neighborhood. And now some internet service, they put them on all the corners and out in my area as far as on the gravel roads.
Okay.
I also have reached out to, the last thing is in regards to the website that we've briefly discussed, was that a gentleman out of Lewisburg with Social Manage is going to be in touch with us, and then the organization, and I keep getting two different names, whether it's Civic Ready, Civic Plus. I've seen both, so I would need to confirm that they are the same, but they are also going to be reaching out in the near future and setting up some sort of presentation in order to give you.
Well, I reached out to Chris Martin
Yes.
about it because we've used Civic Plus before.
Mhm.
And he was going to look into it because we do have Civic Plus with our notification system already.
Right.
And the last thing I have are the signs that you asked me about last Monday. If somebody would like to open them, they are over there against the wall. They are not what I want to point out to you is they are not a completed sign. They are not a sign ready to hang, as we were somewhat informed that they would be. They would not withstand the wind that we had a couple weeks ago, or a few days ago. So I just need you to be able to see them and kind of give me a direction of where you would like me to take them at this point. I was going to say, you might need a pocket knife or scissors to.
I didn't bring that today.
These are the signs for the Historic Society?
Word house there, the ones that we,
So these are the ones that you asked about last week for me to inquire about the cost, as well as them
we
being.
got, last week they asked us about $900 for the flower garden around the signs that they already had purchased.
I think if I remember correctly, as I did some digging in April, you voted to not approve these signs.
Well, we had, Ally had brought in a design, I believe, didn't you, Ally? And then Teresa brought in a designer, I think it was Teresa. And I'm just confused on where the okay was to get any signs.
There was not. So that's what I'm implying, that in May, or I apologize, in April, you specifically asked for a historic society board to be formed.
Right.
She said she would not do that. That was your job to do that. Then you went on and as a commissioner group decided we are not going to approve these signs at this point, and that was it. All of a sudden, these signs have been made. They have somewhat been paid for, and they're asking us to put them up with the Master Gardener design in the corner of the courthouse here. These were delivered to us last Thursday. And as I mentioned, they are not a completed sign. They are the exact wording that is on the current boards out there right now.
So it was never, after we formed this board, that it was never. Yeah, I'm just confused on where we're at. Because we created a board with all these members, and I feel like that if a sign should have been okayed, it should have went through a board. They should have all talked about it and agreed upon it, and then moved forward with it. But that never happened.
If there's a historical society board among the county right now, I am not aware of that. I do not have any members of that. You may be able to fill me in on that, Ally, but I do not have contacts for those.
So here's a look back in the minutes, and what it says in there at the time back in April was that Teresa Miller presented information concerning replacement of signs in front of the courthouse for $200 and 2 new Linn County signs on US Highway 69 for less than $1,000, and would like to increase the budget for Linn County Historical Museum from $8,000 to $15,000. Danny stated he would like to have an active historical society board before agreeing to additional funding for the museum. No action was taken at this time.
So somebody just took it in their own hands and made signs and paid for them, and
That's what I'm gathering. And honestly, I'm not even sure who the gentleman was that delivered these to us on Thursday.
how do you guys feel about it?
It's not a finished sign. I mean, it's gonna take a framework around it. It's gonna take posts. I think
Bracing.
what we was asked for was just for the flowers for the garden, right? Jason,
That's what Christie was here to present.
that's what we got presented with, just to help, the master gardeners was gonna plant the flowers and do the flower garden.
They were looking at what it was going to cost for shrubs and stuff around the signs and stuff that way.
There's no doubt there's new signs need to be placed. You cannot even read what those wooden signs say at the corner of the
Right.
courthouse here. There's no doubt there needs to be new signs. I think our e-community group would like to see some unison of the signs. And if these signs are going to belong to the county, they need to be unified among the entire county. This is not unified to what some of the other county signs consist of.
Right.
Also in those minutes, Teresa mentioned that these would have the Linn County logo on them. There's no Linn County logo anywhere.
And there's signs strung out throughout the county from this, and out in my neighborhood, there is one that's fell down and it's no longer there. And I reached out to the landowner that it was on and asked him if he would like what his idea was for the sign. He said he didn't really know. He didn't know that he wanted that big a sign, but he wasn't against signs, but he was even in favor of everything being alike. Let's sit down and let's get a, community-wide with our historical society and decide what our logo or our brand is going to be. I mean, and that's been brought to my attention more than once. Let's decide what the signs are going to be, and then everything's the same sign that gets put up. But there's signs since they've been put up 50 years ago, different landowners. How do we know they'll allow the sign to go back where it was?
Yeah.
It's something. What I'm saying is there's going to have to be some footwork done to see throughout I'm not against having a sign here, but if we do it throughout the county, somebody's going to have to do some homework and see if the landowner will even allow it. No?
I think that falls back on the historic society that we tried to formulate, and still doesn't seem like we're getting any involvement.
Well, we asked for, for all of them to get together and decide something.
On the budget.
Pardon me?
They did on the budget.
But they didn't talk about signs anywhere, I don't
No.
think.
Well, I mean, I don't think that it's a board, right? I mean, I don't know why they're not having regular meetings doing this type of stuff. I mean, don't you? You guys believe, any other boards, the Historic Society board?
We didn't necessarily appoint a board.
Well, I don't think that's our job. I don't think we're supposed to.
We have 5 historical societies.
I think that they all.
I would be more than happy to help form that board as a facilitator only, provide a place for them to meet, maybe meet at each location differently, have an agenda for them to get some decisions made. But I'm not sure that without that board, we can make decisions.
No, I don't think it's fair. I mean, I don't think it's fair to Allie Hamilton that came in 2 years ago and put a lot of time and effort into her signs, and then this comes about. I mean, she came in and asked for permission from us to do that because we didn't have a board in place.
Well, these signs cost $400, I understand, and they're not even a complete sign. I mean, it's gonna take a frame and it's gonna take a post in order to do it. So I'm not for putting these signs up.
I'm not either. I think the Historic Society has to get together and come up with that decision and then present their plan to us as a whole.
I'm good with that.
I think
If
so
they
as well.
choose to form a committee themselves and then present us with a plan,
Yeah.
we give each one of them money each year.
And we just increased it in the budget.
Yep.
What did we go to? It was
8, we went to
It
what,
was 8.
10?
And we went, what did we go to, David?
Find it.
It was what, Allie?
It's the same.
We went to 10. 10,000 apiece, 2,000 increase.
Yeah. Well, in the budget form, we went from 40,000 to 50,000.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's multiple counties around us that don't give that, to that much money to the Historical Society. Not that I'm against what we're giving them. I'm good with it, but there's counties around that don't give that.
Right. And I mean, I believe that the Historic Society is very important. I just think we have to have accountability for what's happening, what's going on. I don't think there's been for many years. And some of it just doesn't make sense to me. And the equation that we have that come up with the money and the funds that they need to support their society doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's where the board comes in, and they all work together and they come up with decisions and present it to us. I mean, I don't think it's our place to set and tell them that they have to do that. I don't think we can, but I mean, I think it's the ultimate goal to get them to decide on what they want and bring it to us.
Do we need to reach out to 5 of them and tell them this, or how do you think we?
I can't remember how we did the budget. Did we have one from each society step in, Ally? Is that what it is? I think,
So I was when we did that meeting, that wasn't officially subcommittee formed under Jessica was in charge of.
with the people that showed up. I mean, that's what I thought. Yeah. And that's why, yeah. Which was
I did too.
which was a,
Officially, like, maybe you didn't make a motion, but I thought you guys did make a motion.
yeah, I thought we had it all set up, but I could be wrong.
But it wasn't the subcommittee. I mean, the voting members were from the Economic Development Committee. The input was coming. They were supposed to be gathering the input from the historical societies.
Yeah, Jessica had like 2 people with her under historical subcommittee.
3.
Jessica
There were 3, yeah.
went to economic development, and they would talk about what they talk about, and Jessica would bring it to commissioners. That's how I was understanding the process. And we were supposed to meet regularly, but I just think that's something we could address with economic development after a order.
But the only thing that was talked about at that meeting, right, Ally, was the budget.
But it was more of like, presented like just who we were, and then talk about budget. That was all we really had time for, because Jessica went straight into.
So I apologize for interrupting here, but I did see there are one from each district on the subcommittee in that e-community board for the Historical Society. But the way I understand it from you, Danny, and I just want clarification, is you want a separate Historical Society board that meets with me and our subcommittee, and then they come together, do whatever their accountability is, and then I would technically report back to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Is that the way you
I
want?
mean, that's how I foresee it. I mean, is that what you guys, I mean, Ally, isn't that how it's, I mean, maybe I came across
So-
wrong, sometimes I do, but
I mean, from my perspective is, I mean, do we want to be, I mean, does that make her over those? Do we want her running a historical society board that way? I don't think that was our
well, I
intention.
think she's just relaying the message to us pretty much, but just,
I don't want to put it to Chastity to where she's got another board myself. I mean,
Yeah.
I think she can be our go-between. You know, you can set the meetings up but
But we're not running the meeting.
we're not running the meeting. I don't expect you to run it myself, but
Yeah,
it's,
that's what I'm saying.
and let them.
They
come.
have to do something for themselves. We set this up
And then
to help us through the budget process because they were asking for more money and we wanted some accountability and everything that way. So we set up the subcommittee, had them bring in their numbers and things of that nature so that we could look at it and make appropriate changes. Right? But, you know, if they have something that they want to present, I think it should come through you and your economic development committee and then come to us. But I don't think we should be running a historical society board trying to make the
no,
5 different historical societies get along.
but I think that we should start it out and put, you know, I'm okay with, you know, them doing their own thing too, 100%. But I think that you've seen how much tension was in here that day whenever I talked about
We
that.
can't,
So.
we don't expect Chastity to.
No, I
control
don't
that
either,
deal.
but I
So
think
that's what I'm saying is let them
Yeah.
work that out amongst themselves.
No, I agree, but I think that we should help, you know, set a date, the first few dates and make sure that it's happening. Because if not, things like this are going to happen. And,
Well, like I
So
said,
that I believe would be my job as the facilitator. Set the dates,
and then be,
provide the agenda to everyone, making sure that, you know, and coming in, sitting just as a listening ear, providing the location, the agenda, they do their little meeting, and then I can report back to you with whatever
Yeah.
they may want, need, or want to share. Is that how you were looking at this?
I'm good with that.
If that's what you want to do, then we can try it for a while.
Are you thinking something else? You think that's too much? You think that's not enough?
I think it's a start because I know that,
I think the.
I'm afraid if I don't have a centralized location, or am not the centralized person putting this together, it's not going to happen.
exactly.
At least
Maybe
we're
I'm
given an
wrong, but-
opportunity to come together and you set it up, but I don't think we need to have a lot of involvement in
Correct.
what's happening. You know,
And
we
those
can give them location.
those 3 individuals from one person from each district that's on the subcommittee, you know, they can be the ones really diving into the information. And then as our
Off your
e-community,
economic development. board.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
So, is that okay?
we can try it for a while.
Are you guys envisioning like the first project she's gonna work on is the signage? I mean, cause you guys are saying you wanna work with the circle for the signage, but you're not really saying you wanna do that.
Well, I mean,
How do you envision this happening? How do you envision you replacing the signs at the courthouse?
everybody's input from the Historic Society board, like. all-
And everybody come together with a brand or a common sign that we have, and we'll start, if everybody's in agreement on the historical societies that we're going to stay with this certain signage throughout the county and everyone works.
This isn't going to happen overnight. This is definitely going to take some time and some planning and some discussion. So the signs are not, I mean, sure, we'll dive right into that, but it's just not going to happen by January that these signs are taken care
Right.
of. I think there's a lot of different things that need to be discussed leading up to these signs. I mean, we got to get established first.
Okay.
I agree.
Anything else?
I don't know.
I don't.
You don't know?
I said I
Oh,
don't.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, I would sure myself, I'd like to work towards the website, you know, and getting our website up and running, you know, to where we've got the notification system and a place where people can actually go look. And
Correct.
that's one of the first things I think she we should have her doing. I mean,
The e-community, I will say, was all over that as well in our meeting, that the website it's what represents us as a county, as a whole, and it is in some serious bad shape. I mean, I wouldn't say 90%, but there's a lot of information on there that's inaccurate. And that is frustrating to me even before I became part of as an accounting employee. So I'm
And
energetic about that.
would it be fair to say, once our brand is even on that it would go out to our signage
Yeah.
and everything? It all
It
fits
should all
together.
link together.
Yeah.
Correct. So I will continue to work on that and report back as I can.
All right.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to open up for public comment. If there's anybody that wants to speak or make a comment, please come up, state your name and your comment, and we'll hear what you have to say. No public comment?
Yes, I will. I'm going to have to, I'll get to the podium for just a moment. And I'm going to have to bring the chair up unless you want to see me crawling around on the ground because I have leg tremors and hand tremors and it just won't work. I'm Rogine McPherson from the Centerville area, and I want to talk a little bit about a clarity about something that Jesse said, and then secondly, bring up the, I don't know what to call it, putting paint on the roads so you can see, especially at night, where things are at. So with that, I'll bring a chair. If I understood it correctly, because this was one of the things I was going to address this morning, was why we have not proceeded with the culvert on 1350 Road. A mile down the road, going west, a huge culvert was put in about 10 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago. We've had this approved since, I think, February, that culvert would go in at 1350 Road. Now, if I understood it correctly from Jesse, it is going to proceed pretty soon.
Yes, they're working on it.
Okay, I don't understand the delay, but I'm not going to get into arguing with you on that. But it's time. Last week's rain was a pretty good indication again that it's a problem area. And the other one that is building, and I know Fred talked to you about it last week, and I won't go through on that, the one that is north on Fawcett Road is beginning to be problematic as well. So don't be surprised if we on that one as well.
Well, I think Jesse can come and talk about it, but I think the Fawcett Road and the 1350 is all going to be taken
Okay.
care of at the same time.
Okay.
Yep. So we're getting locates in so we can take care of the Fawcett Road at the same time. This was also brought up to my attention when I met with Mr. Ost and Sean West out there, that it is a problem, that there is water that does encompass that road quite a bit. So that is on the agenda to just do that all at once. It's going to be a lengthy project taking care of that, but that is part of the issue that's going to be taken care of.
Well, I appreciate that. And it was approved, I think, in February, so it's time.
Yes, it is.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is the striping, I guess is what I should call it. Even before you guys were on the commission, I remember talking with Rick James about this, coming to a meeting. And I said, old women need the opportunity to see where the road stops and where it's in the middle. And it isn't just about old women, but that's who a lot of my friends are. And we've all said the same thing. It's hard to come home on 1077, and I do that. In fact, I even have to work it out with my kids. I have 2 sons in the city that I have to leave there by 4 o'clock in the afternoon this time of the year, so I could get home before it starts. Now, that's also because of the deer, but I've had some deer go out in front of me, and it would have been nice to be able to have that perspective of where those white stripes are at, and then the yellow down the center. The same thing, and it's not just 1077, and I've heard the rationale is because that was chip and seal and we can't do it. I'm guessing there's some way of doing it. Because I think a road that is traveled that much, whether it's our personal vehicles or the cattle trucks that come from there or anything in between, you all drive trucks, I mentioned, I drive a sedan. So it doesn't make any difference what traffic is going on now. We all deserve to have that right. The safety
And we are moving forward that he mentioned earlier, we were getting
And
bids from
just
straight
a
line.
little bit of icing on the cake here. And it's no surprise that I don't agree with you on everything, Jim. I disagree highly in how you treat people. And I want to go on the record for that. I was in administration for many years and worked with people, and I never had to treat them that way. And still get the same results. And don't tell me you have to ask the hard questions. Yes, you have to ask the hard questions, but it doesn't have to be in a nasty way. Okay, enough of that. But I am gonna finish by saying, how come Jim Johnson's road on 1100 has the signs, the striping? You go to 1150, they don't have it either. And then you take 1077, these are all roads that I take on a regular basis. And I know the question always comes up about so-and-so pays a lot of taxes. We all pay taxes. I don't pay any more than the guy down the road who maybe pays proportionally. I pay my proportion, same way with the feedlot, same way with your feedlot. We all pay our proportion.
I want you to say something. I do not own a feedlot.
Oh, no. I'm
You
not.
just told me that. Then you made that comment, and I don't own a feedlot.
Okay, it doesn't make any difference.
Well, don't
because
make the
I
statement then.
Still buy that business there.
Don't make that statement then, okay?
That's
Okay.
fine.
So-
Thank you for the clarity. But it doesn't make any difference whether you own it or not. You still run a business out of that area. So my point is, that road is done, whether it's related to you or not, doesn't make any difference. But how come 1100 is done very nicely? 1150 is not. And I don't think it's a chip and seal road, although I don't know the difference.
I don't know where you're talking 1100 and 1150. You've lost me.
Well, your road, I believe, is 11, and I'll say your road.
I think you
whatever
should
wanna
go back
call
and do your research.
it. Jim, that is just the kind of thing that
Alright,
I get very irritated
You should
about.
do your research.
All right,
I respectfully ask you,
all right, let's calm down, calm down.
So I have,
calm down, but I am not taking.
Okay, but I assure you that we do not.
I have
show-
one question. So you were talking about on the striping on the roads, the edges of the roads. You're
and
saying,
yellow line.
you're saying we need an edge stripe as well? And I'll just say that my take on it was simply the fact that our road crews and stuff that way had said that we would have more crumbling and more deterioration of that edge stripe. Jesse, is that how you feel about it? Or can you look into it more and give us kind of a take on it? That was the previous.
So previously, they said they didn't stripe the chip and seal roads because it was not required. You
Right.
can stripe the chip and seal roads. This is something that I've discussed with Sean as we get ready to go into next year's asphalt and paving and chip and seal program to stripe those roads. So that was a decision that was made with the previous heads on that.
Right.
Now, the Wall Street Road is a hard surface road. That is hot mix that is laid down. That is mandatory that you have to stripe those roads if they are
And we've
hot
done
mix
that
when they go down.
everywhere we've put them.
Right. So if you do a hot mix road and then you go back 3, 4, 5 years later and chip and seal that road, you are still required to stripe it because it was striped previously. Now, what happened in the past with these other roads that are chip and sealed that are not striped, I can't tell you. But that is,
But like on
Is it too
the,
late to
so if we're going to go through and start chip and seal roads next year, I don't find the cost to stripe those roads right now if we're going to do that X amount of roads next year. Now, if it's slated out 2 or 3 years and we aren't going to get to it then, yeah, I think it's worth striping those roads till we get there.
Well, they were striped at some point in time.
Correct. And I've looked down there, and you can see a yellow line down the center of that road. And so that's one thing that I'm getting with Sean is where we're at on the chip and seal. What's our program? Where did we leave off? Where do we need to pick up and move forward with
but
it?
like, my question is the white line on this side of the road, is it gonna stay or are we gonna lose it?
It'll be just like every other paint job. When it gets run over enough, it wears
what
out.
we was talking about was actually going down the center line with the yellow marks on some of these that was a few years out from chip and sealing.
And I don't see a problem with doing that.
And not doing the sides, just do the yellow line.
Just do the center stripe.
People to mark on some of them that wasn't slated for in the next 2 or 3 years to be resurfaced.
Right.
Because we were concerned over the crumbling on the edge, that the paint wouldn't adhere correctly, and that we'd be just simply wasting our money on the ones that we haven't.
Right.
Right.
But-
Why does that give you license? If you don't do those, then no need of doing the center lines either.
Okay.
I think we're
And that's
doing
why I'm
the
asking you. That's why I'm asking you, as somebody who's coming in to talk to us about it. That's why I was
Yeah.
asking
And
your,
I'm sorry, something you said, Jason, because I think we're saying the same thing.
okay,
It's just that, I can somewhat see the outside lines if they're going to crumble. Although, trying to think how I want to say this. If I'm hit and killed, I think that there would probably be family members would question why that wasn't marked. And it's not just about me. I'm just
Right.
saying that. I mean, I'm saying that we have people go back and forth from Parker, from the city, whatever, all the time. And it just seems like a liability issue for the county. That I know you kind of take this liability thing not as seriously as I think you should. But it is as serious, can be. And I know you think $50,000 for liability for the county is money. It's not. And so please, as you make decisions, think about how it affects your constituents. Is it a safety factor? It can't just be about money. Yes, it is about money to a certain extent. But then I think you owe it to the people. I know there's at least 1 or 2 other people have come to bring this to your attention. Don't just say it doesn't work, it's too expensive. Bring the figures and let us help you make those decisions, especially when it comes to being a safety issue. And I'll finish by saying, and I've said this before, I don't work for you. You work for me. And that's true for every person in this county. I think you can listen a little bit more, and I would say, listen to your employees, Jim. And if you want to go one-on-one,
I don't think we need to do that here. That's not the time.
no, and if that was too strong, I apologize. But I just have had it with, everybody comes to me, not everybody, but people come and say, did you listen to the commissioners' meetings? It was horrible.
Well, that's okay, because my opinion on that, there's not been a lot of stuff that's happened in 40 years in this county, and us three up here have pushed the limits, and we don't get along all the time. We don't agree on it. I feel like there's been a lot of things that have needed talked about in this county that were hard that everybody else has skipped over, and us three have took that, and we've all butted heads. That's fine. I mean, if we all if we agreed, it wouldn't be okay.
I've gone to commissioners'
So,
meetings for years.
I don't.
You guys were mean, and it can be much more civilized than this.
Well,
You're all entitled to your different opinions, just like I'm entitled to mine, not to always agree with you. But we don't have to do it uncivilized. We've got to work, we've got to live together. So why do we have to? And I push the envelope just a little bit, Jim, because I want you to understand that I'm very serious about this. Thank you.
thank you.
any more public comment? All right. Looks like we'll open it for the election tiebreaker, David. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, didn't you tell people around 6:30 when you were calling them? So,
Yeah.
or 10:30, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's not wait till tonight.
So I think we're probably close enough. We could go ahead and proceed. We actually have 5 different township races that were tied. We have 1 in Scott, 2 in Sheridan, and 2 in Stanton. So when you look at the rules on breaking the ties, I know some of the people on the list are not qualified candidates, but we're supposed to break the tie first. And then if a non-qualified candidate wins, they won't be able to take office, which then creates a vacancy. And that vacancy can be filled by appointment of the commission. typically what we've done in the past is I'll try to get a hold of like previous township officers, see if they're still interested or if they've got any ideas of somebody that would be. And I mean, obviously open to public comment too, if somebody's interested and wants to get in on it. But there's a very good chance that we'll complete this and some of the people that are chosen will either not be qualified or just flat won't want the job. So there may still be some appointments that need to be made by the end of the year because they're supposed to take office in January. So with that being said, we have a little deal here and Darcy made up slips with people's names on it that we can draw by each race. And just along the election lines of stuff we got going here, I also brought the abstract with me today for
Signature.
the Jason and Jim to sign, because Danny, you weren't here for canvas. So we had Sean as the other canvasser and he signed it the other day before he left town. So for
Okay.
Scott, I mean, if we're ready to go on with names, Scott Township treasurer is the first one I have. I will let you know, Scott Township trustee, we did have one person with more, or one name on there with more votes than the others, so we didn't have a tie to break. However, the name that was on there was just a first or last name, and we have no idea who that is. So that one's going to be a vacant spot that'll have to be filled. So I don't know who wants to draw. How you guys want to do this? Doesn't matter to
I'll
me.
let you draw, Danny.
Okay.
Say I have two names in here for Scott Township treasurer. You want to pull one of them out? You want to write down?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. All right. So for that one, we have Lisa Warner. Now let me switch to the next race we have. Keep all these straight so we don't get names mixed up. Sheridan trustee, I think would be the next one on our list. And it looks like we have two for that one. And we have Karen Springer for that one. Karen is currently an officer there, and I don't remember which office she has, but that'll be something we'll have to. Yeah, and this is trustee, so if she wants to stay treasurer, then we'll still have a vacancy there. All right, and then we have Sheridan Township treasurer, and there is a whole pile of them on that. And if I remember right, I think that was probably a whole bunch of people that got one vote.
Was.
And I don't know how many that was off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them in here. And for that one, we got Quentin Parsons. So we will notify all these people that you're drawing out that they won, and then we'll kind of go from there and see if they actually want the job or if they're qualified. And we've got two more to go. We have Stanton Township trustee. And all these that we're drawing were places where there was no one on the ballot. And that's why we ended up with all these ties. Looks like we've got 4 in this one. All in there. And for that one, we have Ruth Antrim. And we got one more to go. The last one we have would be Stanton Township. Yeah, but we're
We're
okay
still
with
good,
that,
yeah, okay, I thought so. Okay, good.
Because even if they're not qualified,
Right.
we draw a
I
winner
didn't
and
draw a
then,
mark next to it, so I double checked myself.
okay. All right,
That
and
was
just
what I forgot
3
this
for
morning. Yep.
township treasurer and Stanton. And for that one, we got Richard Long.
Okay.
All right, so that will complete what we needed to wrap up this part of the election. They will notify these people there and see how many of them actually want the job or if they're qualified or not. While we're on the subject of election, Jim and Jason, if you guys want to go ahead and sign off. Just to be on the remaining canvasser lines there. And then I will attest that and seal it, and that'll go back in the vault for the permanent record. We'll make notes on that, on the ones that were drawn out, to show who the winners were and on whether or not they qualified or accepted. Yeah, if you want to. I think that's all I needed to wrap up the election stuff with you guys.
Okay. I would like let's see. I'd say probably a 10-minute legal with the fire chief and his assistant.
Yeah, we can't do legal without an attorney.
Non-elected personnel.
Mm,
If there's personnel issues to discuss, you can do a session on that.
for non-elected.
Yeah,
All right, we'll do 10-minute executive session for non-elected personnel with the fire chief and the assistant,
With who?
with them too. With Randy and
Brian.
well, yeah, that'll work. That's my motion.
With the 3 commissioners and,
Oh yeah, that's 3, and the
Okay.
fire chief and assistant fire chief.
Okay. I'll second it.
Motion been moving second. All in favor, say aye.
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 all right, did you need me for that, or?
No, I don't think so.
Executive session. Okay, so things are not running south.
All right, we're back in session. We had no, are we on?
Yeah.
We had no action from executive session. Looks like we have John from Brightspeed. Is that you? You want to come up and state who you are and?
Copies of the presentation, and I will go through it fast, but there's some maps there.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name's John Idu, and I am with Brightspeed, and I reside in the Kansas City area, so not a bad drive this morning. I appreciate the time to be before you. Brightspeed is a communications company. We've been in business for 109 years. We do have a new name, new owners. We used to be called CenturyLink. Before that, we were Embark. Before that, we were part of Sprint. Before that, United Telephone Company of Kansas. And yes, I have been with them throughout that. I've been with the company 35 years. I want to give you just a quick update of who the new Brightspeed is, because it is a new name. We have a new strategic vision. We are focused on fiber deployment, and talk to you a little bit about what we're doing here in Kansas and some potential grant opportunities specific here to Linn County. 2 years ago, CenturyLink spun off 20 of its states to create Brightspeed, including Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. Created this new company. It is owned by a private investment firm or private equity firm, and they have funneled $3.7 billion of their own money into improving the fiber outreach for the company. Our goal now is to pass 5 million homes by the end of 2027, I believe, and we are well on our way. We should have 1.7 million passings by the end of this year. On page 3, that's where we kind of talk specifically about Kansas. There's a map on the upper right-hand corner that shows the state of Kansas. The blue lines there are the 4 congressional districts to give perspective. And those orange areas that you see there, that's the Brightspeed certificated footprint. We're the legacy phone company, similar to AT&T or some of the rural local exchange carriers. That's our certificated territory that we've been operating under for decades and decades. And like I said, we have been around since 1909 under the various names. We are in 119 communities throughout Kansas. I think we passed 170,000 homes. And that map on the bottom right-hand side is from the Kansas Corporation Commission. It shows Linn County. Our service area in Linn County is the western half, Parker, Mound City, and Blue Mound. We kind of pretty much cover the whole western half of the county. We are, like I said, putting in fiber throughout 119 communities. We've already announced plans for 39 locations that will take us through the end of 2025. And at this point, we don't have any of our Linn County properties announced. So it won't be in 2025, but potentially 2026 and beyond. On page 4, and I'm hoping you have heard about the federal BEAD program by either other providers or the state, but just kind of want to give you an update real quick. BEAD stands for, always have to look, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. It is a giant $42 billion initiative by the federal government. It is funded by the Infrastructure and Jobs Act that passed a couple of years ago. And 450 million of that fund is targeted specifically to Kansas. They have the challenge, the charge, if you will, to fund fiber to the home to all unserved and underserved locations in Kansas. They've been spending the last couple of years defining the rules and identifying those locations to the household level, the address level, and they have 52,000 locations that they have identified as served and unserved that will be eligible for this BEAD funding. Now, the map on page 4 kind of shows you our service territory, 2 of the exchanges anyway. Let me see what those 2 are. Blue Mound being one, and the Mound City Exchange, the blue lines you see on your map, that's our certificated service territory. And all those dots in the middle show you the project area, the project areas as defined by the Kansas Broadband Office, and the dots are the specific unserved and unserved locations. Our footprint captures 841 of those locations. And we are given strong consideration to putting forward a grant application for those 4 areas. We've not made a final determination. It is a federal bidding initiative, so we'll have to make sure we follow the public disclosure rules around whether or not we do that or not. But I just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention, that those are the ones in our service territory that we're taking a look at. First thing people always ask on the next page is, well, what are your prices like? And those are the prices as of this month. We offer 4 packages, pretty much nationwide wherever we offer fiber. The most robust is our 2 gig. It's for $99. We also offer a 1 gig, 500 meg, and then our basic package is 200 megabits for $49. And that's both upload speeds and download speeds. It includes all the equipment you need. It includes the router and the modem. It's unlimited data, no annual contracts, no introductory fees. You don't have to call every other year and see if you can get a better deal. So it's kind of a one-stop, simplified billing approach. The next page shows you just a quick snapshot of our bill. A lot of the phone bills have a lot of back of the bill charges, like your franchise fees and your state taxes and the 911 tax and your KUSF tax, federal franchise fees. None of that is applicable to broadband. And so when we give a customer bill, it's pretty much internet fee of $70, taxes $0, and then the total. We do offer a couple of low-income assistance programs in conjunction with federal initiatives. If we do win any BEAD awards throughout the state of Kansas, we're required to offer a $30 option, and we absolutely will do that. If we win the BEAD, any BEAD grants, we're also required to offer a base package no more than $60. Our base package is $50, so we're already well below that. As the FCC and Congress and those minds back in Washington create a new low-income offering, there was one called the ACP, what was it? Affordable Connectivity Program. It offered a $30 discount for broadband. That expired in May when it ran out of money, and they have not refunded that. If in fact they do, of course, we'll participate. We also offered our own $30 discount, so you can bundle those 2 discounts, and the low income you could get total up to $60 off. So I know I've talked fast. Wanted to make sure I got through my material and allowed time for questions, but like I said, I just kind of wanted to put a face with who this new company is. I've been out doing these throughout the state, city council meetings and county commissioners meetings. CenturyLink wasn't really out there with a community presence, and that's one of the different things about Brightspeed. So if you have any questions, if you see our trucks in the future or something, and we're not doing something right per permits or something like that, at least you'll know who to call, and we can escalate that, and I can get you a response. But at this point, I'll shut up and let you guys ask any questions.
So we used ARPA funds with QuickCom over on the western side of the county. Are you tied in with them at all, or?
We are not.
So that would be, you would be building fiber over the top of existing fiber?
The only,
funds?
the only way that we could get any type of federal funding is if there is nobody there at that particular address.
Okay.
So they are either not there at all,
Servicing them.
or they don't have the minimum speeds. Fixed wireless, I don't know what their deployment strategy is. If it's fixed wireless, yes, we might be overbuilding them because they don't have the required 100 meg connectivity. That was the cutoff. And do you know what part of this county that was in?
It was ran from Greeley to Parker to Centerville to Blue Mound, correct?
Yeah, and Blue Mound has service with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we're not doing any bead work up in the Parker area.
So you're more to the Sugar Valley area and the Tanglewood area?
I'm not familiar with the.
Well, the Farlandville area.
The red dots.
Yes,
And
yes.
the
blue
red
dots.
dots and the purple dots.
And again, one of the things about ARPA, one of the things about,
Okay.
did you
build
use county ARPA money for that, or was that the state ARPA money?
County ARPA money.
Okay, because I know the state, the
The
state,
state might have contributed as well.
yeah, the state does a lot too, also, not only through ARPA, but through what they call the Broadband Acceleration Grants bag, and that comes from the transportation money. And those particular programs, one of the differences is those particular programs allows us, the providers, to identify our own project areas. So we take out our pens and our maps and we say, okay, we can serve these people and this is how much we're going to request. Obviously, we're going to draw those lines to best meet our business model, and there's going to be some people on the outside of the lines. That's what's different about the BEAD program. They're saying these are the unserved areas. If you bid on it, you must serve each and every one of those that they determined must provide fiber to the home.
So if you get the funds, you will do all these, the purple and the red area? I mean,
All the dots,
all the dots?
all the dots.
But you won't do part of it. It'll be the whole package if you get the funds from Linn County.
Let me answer that and then caveat it. Yeah, we will go to the dots that we get the funding for. We can put in, there's 4 project funding areas there. We can put in 1, 2, 3, 4 applications. We could put in 1 application as long as they're contiguous and include all 4. And what's going to happen is the broadband office, they are charged to make sure each and every one of these project areas is funded by a provider, one provider. So if there's areas of the state that don't have any bidders or the bidders just aren't qualified, they will do a second round of the bidding process and call us up on the phone and says, hey, if you want this area, you got to do this area as well. So there'll be some horse trading back and forth. So
So this area, these dots are broke out into 4?
yeah, each color dot is a different,
Okay.
each color dot, and they have about 130, every project area has about 120, 130 locations. Now, the other
You
thing,
have the Blue Mound area, which is south of Blue Mound, but Blue Mound in town, we have service to Blue Mound.
that's probably why it's not, a project area. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't come in there with our own fiber and our own capital and upgrade our existing facilities, because we already provide voice and internet service in Mound City. It's just copper-based, it's not the fiber-based service. And the caveat I was going to tell you about, I can't tell you what applications we're going to do because that could jeopardize the integrity of the bidding process. It's kind of like going to an auction. Don't want to collude with anybody, and so I can't make any public announcements as to what we're going to do. But once we finalize our approach, I can let you all know via email or something. The application window in Kansas, they are second in the state. They are moving very quickly. Louisiana is the farthest along. Kansas is second farthest along out of all 50 states. The application window is open. It closes December 20th. And the broadband office, which is part of the Department of Commerce, their stated goal is to announce first round winners in January. If history tells us this is a complicated program, it's going to be delayed a little bit, but hopefully first quarter we'll know. And, if we don't bid, or if we bid and don't win, I mean, ideally somebody's going to win and bring fiber to the prem to those areas. You score higher in your application if you commit to deploy within 12 months. But the federal timeline is to have services up and running within 24 months. So it's still a little far out there, but 2026, clearly, you'll start seeing some activity.
These are already existing parts of your territory, right?
Yes.
And so you just haven't deployed fiber in those areas?
We have not deployed fiber. We
For
offer.
what reason is that?
Uh,
I mean,
Well, we already have copper there, and we do offer copper-based DSL. You have to be within, we have some fiber deployed, but it's not fiber to the prem. It's just fiber to the pedestal, fiber to the central office. And we've been offering copper-based DSL, which is okay. You can get up to 100 meg. I looked, everybody in this area can, well, not everybody, if you live close enough for a central office, about 3 miles, you can get 60 meg. Why haven't we deployed fiber sooner? That's the one reason I've got spun off to Brightspeed. By the time CenturyLink realized that they had to upgrade to fiber, their strategy was, let's go crazy with copper and push copper out further, push fiber out through the distribution lines, but then the final mile could all stay copper. And there's a business case for that up until the pandemic, and then ever since the pandemic came, it was fiber or nothing. And so they said, we don't have the wherewithal to do 37 states that they were in, fiber to the prem, so they spun off 20 of us to Brightspeed, and that's exactly what we're doing. Like I said, we've already announced it to 39 communities,
Okay.
and we're continuing that process. And this is a way that we can accelerate that a little bit in county. I know they have my contact information. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and I appreciate your time this morning, and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you all.
Thanks. All right. Looks like now we have the compactor agreements of Pleasant and Lacine, and we discussed that. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting and brought in, was it Blue Mound?
I
Tanglewood?
missed that one.
I did, Blue Mound Tanglewood. And they had a few questions, and we tried answering it and came to an agreement on that. If whoever has a question about the compactor, please come up, state your name, your town, and what your concern is, and we'll try to talk about it.
Come on up.
First off, my name is Deborah Wilson. I'm the mayor of the city. And in reading over the old contract and the proposed new contract, they, we have a few concerns. But I'm going to back up just a minute and talk about staff taxes. The people in Lacine and the people outside Lacine they pay taxes to the county in the same amount. The people outside pay towards the ad valorem in the county. The people inside Lacine pay toward the ad valorem in the county. And the people inside Lacine also pay for some services that are either some of the same services or extra services in Lacine. And the reason I mention this is because, for instance, when we're talking about the trash, 25 years ago, basically 25 years ago, the county came to us with an idea to put trash compactors in a nice location in the city. And that benefited the county and the city by making sure that there was a place that would clean up the opportunity for people to just drop bags of trash out in the county or just be messier. This gave us an opportunity. But if you realize that things have went up, and in the beginning, the contract stated that the county would pay for building the facility and all the cost of building it. They paid for, I believe, the insurance. Is that correct? They paid for the insurance, and the city paid for the cost of the employee. Now, over that 25 years, I'm sure that cost of that employee has went up a little bit. And we did not come back to the county and ask for, anything. We just continued to pay them a fair wage for the services. And the county was paying $200 a month towards that bill in 25 years ago. And that was what it was now. And of course, we paid more. And in this new contract, it doesn't say anything about us paying the county paying for, like, let's just say the fencing deteriorated, because things do deteriorate over time. It doesn't say that the county is going to pay for that. I guess the city is going to pay for that. And it doesn't say that the county is paying that $200 a month, even though the costs have went up. The county, it looks like, might be paying less. And we also have the additional responsibilities, potential responsibilities, by moving the name to these cities instead of the county. And this, as far as Lacine, we are concerned about the additional liability there. But as far as I'm concerned, with the county notices that something is used by more people, like, for instance, our trash dumpsters. Our trash dumpsters are used by people all around, both in and out of the city. Now, about half of the people in Lacine also have individual trash dumpsters now, which I don't think the use of that 25 years ago was as prominent as now. But so the people that have the trash dumpsters are paying for the compactor, and they're paying for the trash dumpsters. And again, we did not ask for any changes. But I guess my point of view is that we have not asked for anything additional from the county, but we would like not to have any additional things put on us by the county.
Well, I don't think we're not putting any additional things on you. I think we're just having you guys be accountable for your area. Because I can't go into your area and tell your compactor person that they need to get out and help that person take the trash out because I'm a commissioner. We don't do that. It's just like the SRO program. We're not going to school and tell the SRO how their job should be ran on that site. So I think it's more of an accountability thing. We're not asking anybody to pay anything more or anything less. We're asking you guys to, we're pretty much giving you guys a prepared site and asking you guys to take that over while Sean sets as or Linn County sets as the permit issuer also with you guys. We'll help you guys. We pay for that. We're not asking for any other funds. We're just asking for you guys to take accountability for your site. And if you guys want to be able to move your site, you can.
I'm gonna ask my county clerk my city clerk to come up here because she's more cognizant of all the details in the two contracts and the differences, because there were a few things. Jody, could you come up here with me, please? Because there are a few instances where it looks like either the county doesn't do as much as they used to do. And so to a certain extent, like for instance, the $3,900 or the $200 a month, I don't see anywhere in the new contract that it mentions that. So Jody, you go right ahead.
My name is Jody, and I am the city clerk for City of Lacine. So we have visited with Sean over the phone about the new contract that was submitted out. And then we also sent some questions back just in comparison to what was in the prior contract and what's in the current. So some of the items I know that the mayor has mentioned were of some concern, for understanding if we're going to sign a contract that we're going to now be the permit holder, even though you're covering the cost of the permit, it's still, we're now enduring the whatever is involved in that permit that I'm not attuned to know. I don't know what happens if there's a violation. I don't know what the requirements are from the state. We don't know what we could be obligating ourselves to. If there's a hazard spill out of the unit, if somebody put something in that, ended up creating those types of items, we haven't operated these facilities. We contact your public works person and say, hey, this is a circumstance, that arose, and you all would come on site and, do whatever was necessary to handle those situations. If there was a problem with the building, if there was a issue that happened that way, we would contact the public works of the county and they would, come in and address those things. So that's been the process over these years with it. And then again, we've always as in the original contract, we hired the individuals to monitor those stations. We had a portion that was provided by the county to help and assist with some of that cost. The property, you're right, that is sitting on is a leased space. The county and the cities agreed for where the placement of those items would be. So there will be some possible additional costs to us if, now we are to maintain the buildings that are in existence on site, not the compactor units, but the buildings or the fencing or anything other in the elements of that facility. And then it does say in the new agreement that the electrical at this point is still going to be maintained under the county for providing on that cost. It didn't say anything about the insurance coverage. It hasn't been under us. That all of that unit and everything has been under the county. So I'm not sure, it's not labeled in here. So are you also inclining that we will now have to insure, the property and the units, which again would be additional costs to the cities that we haven't handled in the past. So those are just some things that I guess in our minds, we're not, it's not that we're not going to be taking on some responsibility. We will be acquiring some potential additional costs with the overall maintenance of the facility that we did not have or endured prior to this. And so those are some questions, concerns and things that we have to make determination on our budgets to go forward if we're going to incline the insurance and if we're going to incline the cost and the maintenance of the facility that we don't normally levy for. We only levy for the workers' salary for that operation. That's the only thing we levy for at this time. So the other thing, I felt like there should be some language in there as, because when we came to the meeting, just stepping back, we came in with this all began with a question of, we couldn't find existing contracts. Some of them we just couldn't locate. They were very old. They hadn't been looked at for years. And so it got brought up for conversation, and you invited in to ask about the concerns that people had at their facilities. You let each entity express some of their concerns. And so we learned some that they operate differently, because we learned some are unattended, some are within lock gates, so they own their own equipment, they're doing their thing, and then some are just open to the public at some of the bigger communities. So they do have a little differences in their operations. They may have some differences in their hours. They may have some differences in their quantities. And we kind of discussed all of that a little bit at the meeting we came to. And so then we were going to reflect back to see about how to handle these contracts to create a new one. So I guess what I don't know is we haven't got enough feedback or haven't been involved in some discussions to see, can it be one common type of contract with every one of them based on the way they differently operate? Is that what we're trying to
Yeah, that's pretty much
accomplish
what it is.
here?
Like Tanglewood, for instance, they operate differently than like Pleasanton or Lacine because they're inside the gate. So what is their crushing equipment?
They actually bought the equipment, Tanglewood and
Linn Valley.
Sugar Valley both bought the equipment, and but nobody outside of the gated facility is allowed to use those. We pick the trash up, take it off, but they actually own the equipment.
Right. And so in that circumstance, it's a little different than the contracts and the way we operate, in the fact that we don't own the equipment. It's obviously been a lease
And we're
situation
gonna
between
continue
land and
owning the
equipment.
and taking care of the equipment.
I understand with the equipment, but then we still have the facilities. And again, I don't know what's at each facility.
Well-
I don't know if that's different. And I'm just saying, we know at ours, there's a building. We know we have fencing around it. We have those things that we just haven't levied for in the past to maintain. So now if it is going to be something that you're asking that we go forward, that we're going to need to be sure to look at our budgets and incorporate some dollars in order to maintain that. And I think all the mayor's trying to explain a little bit in the beginning when she was just discussing with taxes is just to the fact that, I guess easy way breakdown is to say, you can take something that maybe only is a $1,000 charge to maintain that facility, and to levy that on a county level versus levying that on a city's level, there's a difference there. We levy right now $28,000 to pay for that person who operates that facility. That's 4 mills for the city to come up with $28,000, to cover that. I don't know your guys' exact levy amount, but if it's the county that you levy that $28,000, it's going to be a lot less per person. And it's not that we're trying to get all minor detailed, but since everybody uses it, it's just looking for the best interest in the cost. But like I said, the other question is the liability side. And we don't know, we're not in the trash business, we're not in the landfill world. We don't know what comes with that permit ticket. So we don't know what are we going to have if there is some sort of spill or something that happens. We just don't know what that's going to entail in costs.
At each site, there's supposed to be an operating manual that goes in your guys' building or whatever.
Yes,
Sean had
we have
mentioned
that.
this. So, that's supposed to be read. I don't know. That should answer a lot of your questions if there's a spill and things like that. But as far as like the property and the building and all that stuff, that's on you guys.
And actually what's put in
Yeah.
that's your employee should be verifying for what's in that manual of what goes in that trash.
Well, we understand that, but we also all know in the world of trash, and we know the way it tends to happen, people will put things in black bags because they know then it's discretional and they can't see, and things happen. It just happens. And so the point of the fact is we have to be prepared for if that happens and the case is there and it's a hazardous something. You can try all kinds of checks and balances. Our guys are only there for 4 hours a day or, longer day on a Saturday. They cannot hold the lines up to say, could you open your bags for us, please? Could you open your bags for us, please? To make sure. It's just not the way it happens in a realistic world. And so stuff gets in there, which is why we have operating manuals, yes, to try to explain this is what you're going to have to do in that circumstance. So if that situation happens, if it's hazardous, okay, what are we equipped with in our city for certain hazardous? I wouldn't know, I'm not the public works person or the fire chief or anything, but I don't know if we have that kind of stuff. Does the county have those kind of stuff? Because you are, in the world of landfill operations, you're in the world of waste management. So then it's a question of, okay, so what's that mean now? Then we call you guys to come and say, hey, we have a hazardous situation. We're going to need you to come and clean that up. And, I'm just not sure where the balance is coming for why, you say the permit under us, then it gives you that way we're in charge. We can tell these people, I mean, we were serviced and given the operating manuals. We already know that we have to advise our workers that, hey, this is what you have to do. This is what you're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be checking license tags to make sure they're a county citizen or that they are a city of Lacey citizen. You need to be watching the products and things that go in there. We walk them through that. They are well aware that inspectors show up, once a year usually to do a site visit and check on things. And we've always made sure, we're running accordingly to your operating manual so that it's in good place. So we've tried to follow along with what the responsibilities that we've been informed of under the permit operation under you guys. We just don't understand why there's a necessity to have us become an active transit center permitted and, put to that. And if that's kind of the perspective the county is looking at, we would have to have more ample time to prepare in our budgets to be the operators of a transport center.
Well, yeah, I can't answer that. Sean could probably answer that question better than you, but I mean, as far as I know, nothing's changing besides, I don't know how the insurance on your employees work. I don't know anything about that, but.
Not on our employees, on the
So-
facility.
No, I know, I don't
Do we
know.
have insurance on the facility? It's just the equipment or what?
We have liability and equipment insured.
And to her point on the, I mean, they're going to be liable regardless whether it's a county resident or a city resident. Right? I mean, that's
Well, I'm just
hard.
saying,
If we had a hazardous drop off, if we had something happen,
We're ultimately gonna be responsible for it because we're the ones hauling it off.
You're the ones what?
It is our trash.
we're going to be the ones
We
hauling
will
it
be the
off.
one responsible because it is our trash.
But I mean, if it's on our premises, that's what I'm saying. Is the
It's already
permit we're
on-
signing,
it
we're
is
signing
not
for
already
the
on your
permitted,
property.
we are the permitted operators of this premise, correct? That's what we'll be obligated as once, if we
But
were
is
to
it
sign
not
this,
your
it'd be the
property
permit.
now?
That is our property that this county leases for that operation of that center. So, and again, back to the beginning, like I said, they do all operate a little different. And I just don't know if we have the feasibility to just do one blanket agreement, for all of them based on the way they operate, or whether we're still back to maybe two types of agreements of some sort, in which here is for the ones that are isolated and they are simply only for that gated community. They have full control of all of the equipment. They have been operating basically as a transit station, in the essence of the way they're set up. But we are simply like a substation out there in which you're doing the operation on a leased premise, and we're just the leased premise.
Facilitating.
And we are just providing the employee, is what has been in the past, the way it was laid out. So that's where some of the question I think is arising, like, whoa, like what all of a sudden made this need to flip around a little?
Just because in my opinion we're putting thousands of dollars into this trash service right now and trying to get it up to par because it's been since 86, since the last agreement. And it's just kind of ran the way it has. We're out here, I think was it Blue Mound or somewhere, we're fixing their building, but Pleasanton bought their own here 10 years ago. That's not fair to anybody, and nobody knows exactly what's going on, and there's no accountability for anything. And Sean, if there's a hazardous waste material left here in Mountain City, Sean has no way of not making that happen. It's you guys' employee. Sean's the one that has to stop everything he's doing to deal with KDHE. And I don't think that's okay. I think that's your guys' employee. That's your guys' you guys should have accountability for that. And we're not trying to make anything hard on you guys at all. We're not trying to change anything. We're trying to have accountability here. I mean, that's where I'm at, right? I mean,
But where did you feel that there's a lack of accountability? I mean, everybody's always answered to the measure of being in preparations for whatever like I said, the operating plan that was delivered to us from Jackie Messer, who's the one at the time that brought that, went over with it, reviewed it with us, so we knew what the ins and outs were, to be sure those are in preparation and under the operating guidelines. So I don't know
well,
why.
I just think everybody in the whole county has a misconception of it. I mean, if the trash compactor is full at Pleasant, then I get 100 phone calls telling me, why do you have that closed? I don't operate that. I don't operate that facility. I'm not the boss to that employee. That's you guys. But I'm the one that gets the phone calls because it's a Linn County trash service, right? I don't go in there and control your guys' operating hours. I can't.
But you would get the call because you all are the ones that transport the containers. So if it was full and it's full like that, it's based on the schedule is the landfill capable? Do we have, if our normal schedule is only to come through every 2 weeks and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it filled up in 1 week's time, then that's where we call in, yes, and we'll say, hey, the compactor, unfortunately, I don't know, maybe with the holiday, maybe with whatever took people had garage sale days and all of a sudden they brought all their excess stuff down there, to throw away. And it unfortunately got filled before the next week normal route time. So you call it in and you're right. It's based solely on it. Does the county have the feasibility to do an additional route? Or if they don't, then that's right. We have to advise everybody it was an overpacking week. And unfortunately, the route doesn't come through, until it's not any different than your door-to-door trash. There's times you have more than just your one tote of trash. You have to keep those bags in your garage until the next week in the next route, and coming through the next week to get that, and you could sit there and call Waste Management all you want and say, I got way more trash than what I would normally have this week. So they're going to say the same thing. Well, you'll have to hold it back, or you're going to have to find some other, place. We only pick up
Pay
once
an
a week
additional fee.
on Wednesday, or pay an extra fee and we'll come pick that. If that's something that the county, works out, or those type of things, okay. But it's all the pieces of the puzzles. You're right. If we have to ask you to come out and do a special trip, then maybe there's some in our documentation of the contract that says, well, if additional trips are needed, or this would be the circumstance.
Well, that's what I don't get. I don't get why this is such a big deal. We're not here to make anything harder on you guys. We're not here to separate ourselves from you. And I feel like that you guys think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to separate ourselves. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to allow you guys to operate how you guys want to, move your facilities where you want to. For the last 6 years being a commissioner, I've had Pleasanton contact me multiple times because they don't like their facility right in the middle of their baseball fields. I understand. I 1000% understand. But I don't feel like that's my job as a commissioner to say, yes, you can do that. That's your guys' responsibility. You guys can make that decision. You guys pay for the setup, the utilities, all that to get it there. And then we'll provide you guys the equipment necessary to make that happen. With the trash service, the haul off service of it. We're spending $10,000 a container trying to rebuild them right now to keep all this up. Our equipment's old. We have to keep up with that. I feel like that this is what we have to do. We're not trying to, make your guys' budget go haywire. We're not doing that. We're not trying to put blame on you. We're not trying to make anything harder on you. We are just trying to.
So is your the waste program, waste fund, I'm not sure what you call it, solid waste fund,
waste.
probably. Okay, so that David, is that like a standard fund line by the ad valorem, or is that a separate non-tax fund
It's a budget.
by rate
It's a budget within our general fund.
within the general
So
fund,
it doesn't have its own tax levy. It's part of the general fund levy.
part of your general fund levy?
And
So
I think, Danny, what Jody is saying is that we don't have these differences outlined out in our agreement, and that's why she's not comfortable with what we're pushing out.
But this has been going on for over a year. And whenever everybody's sitting here, I specifically said, please give us any written, questions or concerns. And Sean and Jessica brought us nothing, correct? There was nothing given to us, was there? Because I was upset about it. And I don't, maybe you guys did, I don't know, but I was pretty upset about it because everybody sat right here and there was a lot of concerns. I said, please write them down, get them to Jessica and Sean. Nothing ever came back across my desk. Did it yours? Never heard any
But that's
concern.
what
I
I'm saying.
sat down
We didn't have
with-
any questions. We had no concerns. We had no concerns.
And how it
with
was
the operation.
operating
It
at
was
that
fine,
time.
so we had nothing to say. There was no concern, but we understood the contracts were old and they needed to be readdressed, and we needed to probably create some line in there that says, hey, let's look at this every 3 years, just to stay on top of it. Because you're right, having 30-year-old contracts is not always worthy, but
So we did not have concerns, and that's why you didn't get anything from us. But what we have concerns over is the differences between our old contract and the new one. Because it does seem like maybe they're not big changes, but there are changes. And there are additional things that the city would, like, if the county is not paying $200 a month towards the employee, that is.
Well, we pay you
something
$325 a month towards something. I don't know what that goes towards.
Yeah.
What's that go
it's
to?
the $3,900 a year is allocated to the city to help in the cost of the employee.
Okay. Do we do that for Pleasanton?
Yes.
Okay. And everybody else, but not the lake communities?
It's not the same on all the
But
cities.
they don't, the lake communities.
That's exactly what I'm getting at, Jason. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at.
I'm just saying that they're not the same.
No, I understand. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like
Well, I mean, and from the start, Danny, I've been asking for us to make our agreements the way it needs to be to work with each of the different entities, not just one blanket.
so you want to meet with each city and come up with something different?
I think it needs to work with what we have going.
Just might need to look, it's just having a little bit of separation in the wording for the fact of those that are open to full public and those that are open to private entity. It does make a difference on
It does.
how much service is happening there. What they have in the lake community for their numbers is gonna be different when you have it open fully to not, this is not just the city of Lacings, or it's not just the city of Pleasanton. It is anybody in the county surrounding areas. If Linn Valley Lakes was full, Linn Valley Lake Trash Compactor was full, they're not far from us, they'll skedoodle right in town and they'll come drop it at Lacings. It's because that one is a full public for anybody to use, so.
Right,
does
but
it
at the
matter?
lakes, we don't pay for their power to their equipment. We don't pay for their crushing equipment, right?
Correct.
And they don't get the money for the employee, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's a
Matthew Young, Pleasanton and mayor in Pleasanton, and we echo a lot of the same concerns in Pleasanton. And I will say that from the beginning, we have sent some concerns and questions over to the county. If those didn't reach you, we don't know why. But we do echo a lot of that same concerns and everything, particularly regarding the maintenance that doesn't seem to have had a consistency to it on the equipment. And we would request the same thing, that you handle them two different ways as opposed to a blanket for everyone.
So currently, we have 7 cities in the county. Linn Valley's has always been a different type of agreement where it's a gated community, so it's not really open to public. Like Tanglewood, Sugar Valley, Lake developments have always been different. We're not paying anything to those entities, staffing that or for rent. The other 6 cities, Mound City, Lacine, and Pleasanton, have been receiving $325 a month. Blue Mound, Prescott, and Parker have been receiving $225 a month. As to how those original amounts came about, I don't know. That predates me being here too. But that's where we're at. And we list it as rent when we pay it out, because I think the way we had always looked at it is we're paying that for basically rent on the location, knowing that the cities use that to help pay the person that works there.
My name is Jacqueline Paletta. I'm the attorney for the city of Pleasanton. Who drafted this proposed new contract? I'm aware that you guys don't have a attorney in the county. Where's the copy of the insurance policy that governs the liability for these machines? Who gave you the legal determination, Mr. Johnson, that the county would be liable because it's your trash? Did KDHE agree to that terminology, that it would be the county that would be liable because it's your trash? Language really matters. And those words that are used in that contract, in the absence of words in that contract, that has meaning. And so the responsibility and liability that faces each one of these cities as a result of these changes is something that I'm sorry that the time has elapsed and has taken some time, but it requires due consideration because of the increased potential liability, especially to the extent that you want these cities' names to be on the permit. That does change the landscape of the liability. And as far as it pertains to inability to get questions to you all, the last minute notice doesn't help. To the extent that you want the cities to have meaningful dialogue with you all about these changes, and certainly the necessity of having a current contract, that's appreciated. But to give cities notice on Friday of a Monday meeting, this shall happen on this day at this time, and you all shall be present or you won't participate in the conversation, that makes it difficult for people to come up with questions in a reasonable time. I'd have been more than happy to email you, Mr. McCullough, about the questions that the city had, but unfortunately, I wasn't given notice until, Friday, when this meeting is on Monday. I think that this dialogue about contracts between municipalities is something that is best suited for attorneys to handle, to make sure that the liability for everybody is rightfully protected without any additional financial responsibility to these small towns that don't have the tax basis to support it.
Like I stated, this is not something to push anything off on anybody else because it's a huge liability. It's literally just to try to give the cities the ability to do as they please with their sites and to alleviate something off of Sean West's back that he doesn't have time to control because he's not there on every day. So we wanted to maintain the equipment. We wanted to continue everything we're doing. We're not trying to make anything difficult on anybody, trying to make you guys spend any money that you don't have to. I mean, that's not the goal here. I'm not against the cities. I don't understand what this is turning into.
Do you think that with the cities, that it's actually taking the trash now and their employee is responsible by looking at the guidelines? Do you feel that the cities have any responsibility to make sure that there isn't anything in there today, the way the contract reads?
So I don't have an executed copy of the contract as it is. So I think that's part of the reason for this conversation in the first place, is that we don't have a current fully
You don't have one in your facility?
I have not seen a fully executed contract, especially not one that deals with.
I'm saying what the responsibilities are for your employee.
I'm sure that there's an operating manual.
So if there is, do you feel that there's a little bit of responsibility to Pleasanton to make sure that the right stuff goes in the facility?
Absolutely. I think
So you guys have some responsibility in this situation as it stands today.
As it stands, there is liability for everybody involved. So some type of idea that only the county is going to be liable, or for the county to say only the city is liable.
So what I'm saying is it's a partnership today, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we ask you to sign off on to get the permit yearly, what's that change of what, if we do that, we're asking you to get the permit, what do you feel that changes our situation today? Because you guys are responsible because of your employee taking trash today.
Substantially limits the liability of the county, and I think that's what you all were trying to do in the first place.
No, we're still on.
No, I don't think so. That's not our idea. We're signed on that with you also, but you guys are the one that's going to apply for it, is my understanding. Is that right?
But it doesn't clearly detail out how that's going to work. And I think that's the problem.
I do too. But what I'm saying is, I don't think we're asking you guys to be the sole owner of this permit. We're going to be with you, but you are going to take care of it because your employee is going to be the one that's in charge we can't, as commission or any county employee, we can't go and tell your employee how to take care of your facility.
Well, what I
Because-
can say is that the city of Pleasanton is not prepared to sign the contract as drafted. So I can't advise them to sign the contract that's drafted. So until or unless something is drafted that is way more delineated, has way more information in it, I cannot advise my city to sign that contract.
Well, I think that there's confusion here that we're putting the permit off on you guys. And I don't think that's the case here. We're having you take care of it because it's your facility and you guys signed the permit, but we're partnering with you
Mound
still.
City removed a fence a year ago.
Yeah, the fence.
They never mentioned it to Sean, nothing like that. I believe it was Mound City.
They have a gate out at the road, but the fence is gone around.
And they took the gate out. And
Yeah.
no one came and talked to us about it, anything. And then we got the write-up from KDHE over it. That's where I don't feel like that's our responsibility. That's on you guys.
But I think that's where the attorney is expressing that it is very important, the language we have in this contract, because it's not clear for us on this permit, which I understand it has language partially in there saying.
We're saying
it's
the right
Linn
thing.
County's permit and
It's
you're
not in the
lifting
contract.
us, but that's not clear to us. Are we just a location name on it? But yet you are the absolute beholder of the permit. We're just listed as a locate site. Or because we are interpreting in a sense like we are becoming beholder of a landfill station permit.
No,
And that's a big difference.
we are the
than
holder on it.
just
You guys
being-
you guys are signed on it and we pay for it, all that stuff.
Well, but I mean, like she said, so much.
Then why are we pushing it off on
The
you?
bottom line for Lacey is that we did not have a problem, is why we did not submit anything. But with the new thing, we do have problems. We're comparing it to our old contract and the new contract. And I hear Commissioner McCullough say that we're not putting any more on you. I think that maybe the commissioner's intent is not to, but the reality may be that you are.
We had a phone bill. We had a phone bill from, who was it, Sprint? Recently, was that? Or who? What was the landlines out there?
Well, I think checking Mound City,
Oh, whatever locations it was at.
well, it's going to depend on what location, on who it was.
We're spending how much? $5,000.
I don't remember without looking into that on amounts, but yeah, we were getting phone bills, and in at least one location, it was for a phone that wasn't even in use.
It wasn't even
anymore.
in use. That's where this backward stuff continues to happen, and it's not. I mean, Sean West doesn't have time to go to every single site and check all that.
So what you guys are saying is you want the writing out better, or us explain the permit
The
situation.
attorneys.
To the extent that what you all are saying now is what you intend, that's not reflected in the writing.
Correct.
So we want the writing to reflect the intention and to have a clear delineation of whose responsibilities are what, and to ensure that to the extent that the cities require, or the municipalities or lake communities, whatever they're called, need to undertake additional responsibilities that potentially require additional certifications from KDHE, training, etc., that all of that is complied with for the purpose of any type of liability in the future. Because this.
Well, I think Danny's idea, if I understand that to get away, we're going to own the equipment, the compactor and
The crusher, yep.
the all the hydraulic electrical equipment's going to be ours, but you guys can choose to have it
Wherever you want,
where you want, and it'll be your fenced in facility
or not fenced in.
or
It's up to
not
you guys.
fenced in. You choose, and it'll be off of your permitting, and you guys will be responsible for keeping the
I'll tell you right now, Pleasant doesn't even come out of their little building at all and help the people, an elderly lady, take her trash and throw it in there. I'll get out of my truck before that happens. So if I'm in control of it, I would like to get out and make that employee do that then. And that's not my job right now.
We don't have control over that happening. There's situations where there is people that go help everybody take their trash out.
But and I think, again, just back to the contract, and that's kind of two separate things. You have a first paragraph that says that the city shall be responsible for obtaining and maintaining the required state license covering the operation of a solid waste compactor site and to maintain the required operations plan to support said license.
And 2 weeks ago,
That
we
is
talked,
telling-
Sean
that is
came in here and
telling
told
us
us.
that we are going to be the permit holder, absolutely responsible for any element that it's no longer permitted under this.
Sean stated over the camera 2 weeks ago that we were going to be the main holder, and you guys listed underneath us.
Okay, then this needs to be modified for some of that reflection, because you're
contract.
saying we are the stakeholder of the state license. And that's a little different than what you are trying to explain to us here. And then that begins to feed the process to line out the liabilities, first of all, pertaining to insurance and those other elements based on how that permit is established. And then from there, it also leads to the guidance on, or like you say, training and operation measures, who's handling which aspects and what the responsibility will be of those in the area. But right now, the way this thing is stated in that first paragraph is you have told us we are becoming the ultimate permit holders of that facility by the state, that we are licensed directly into the state. So that's confusing to us.
Well, I said 2 weeks ago, we had talked about it, and Sean, I mean, we didn't get with you guys. You guys weren't here, and I don't know that part of it. So that's not my job as a commissioner to get in the weeds with who scheduled what, but this has been talked about for over a year. So,
Right, well, then we're asking on behalf of at least the city of Lacine, we are not signing this document, and we are all asking that there's legal involvement to create a more
Detailed.
a better defined contract agreement. This one right now is too loose, and we're gonna find ourselves with too many problems going forward until we.
Can we look at this then too, also that we have the different price schedule? You know, let's go back to look at it is if we're open 20 hours a week versus 40 hours a week, let's base that, what we're giving these cities based off the hours of, would that be fair to everybody? That to where if you're open 40 hours a week, you get more than the city that's open 20 hours a week.
Well, that puts me back to Jason's comment, is that you might not be able to do an identical, just single blanket. You may in the base verbiage, and you may in the base operative version of it, but then you might have to have it inclined with some sections
I
that would
think we can
modify.
define
for each
who
facility.
gets what based off
We could-
of hours of operation, and that might be the difference between the 200 and the 325.
And it could be, but the lake regions, I cannot go into the lake regions.
Correct. I can't either, even though that's the one that's the closest to me.
And that's even another issue we get into, how much trash comes from somewhere else into the lake regions that we all have.
Another option is a base contract with addendums for each of the parties to the contract. Those specific terms that would be entity specific can be identified in the addendum that pertains to the specific entity. So to the extent that you all do not have an attorney.
that's been through two different legal hands, by the way. It has. It's
It has.
two different people.
Well,
So.
you could,
But it doesn't fit everybody's needs, and this is why this has continued to be an issue, because it just keeps moving on. So
I
that's
think
why
we
we're
could stay off of the equipment we own and make sure what we're responsible for. And then off of the per hour of operation, the dollar figure per hour of operation for each facility.
well, I was going to say I'd be happy to work with whatever attorney you guys retain for this particular thing to get the language worked out as it pertains to the city of Pleasanton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any more input on it?
No, I think we need to look at it probably based off of the hours of operation, off the money.
You're talking about the 325 or the 225?
define that.
and define the equipment that we own and what we're exactly owning. I think we can, if we have it in a contract, I think we can come out with a,
You know, our equipment's getting pretty old in age, and it's not in very good shape, correct? I mean, we can all agree on that, right?
It's functioning.
well, we've been told about that. And I'll tell you what, I'll go back to hydraulic equipment. Everybody tells us about it wearing out. You know, hydraulic equipment on tractors lasts, I don't know the maintenance program we have on them, what we could do and maybe fix what we have, because, you know, the cylinder goes in and out.
Yeah.
Takes electric motor and a cylinder. Maybe we don't have the right person, the right companies to help us as far as rebuilding these things.
Bill Skipper, City, Pleasanton City Council. Do you have a copy of this agreement that you've read recently?
I don't know if I do. I can't, my computer's not working.
For example,
It's on our SharePoint.
For example, number 3, the city shall be responsible for constructing, maintaining the site, subject to the exceptions of Section 7 of this agreement. If you go to Section 7 of the agreement, Section 7 says the county shall haul containers, including solid waste containers, recyclables, metal waste, and to its final disposition site on a schedule of the city's or the county's choosing. So, I mean, it doesn't make the circuit. Our biggest concern is if we become the license holder, we do encounter that liability. The biggest single liability on that trash compactor is not what people put in the dumpster. It's a hydraulic system. It's hoses. That's where the ground contamination is coming from. It's from leaks. It says that you'll maintain the equipment. Well, it's your equipment and you're supposed to be maintaining it now. Danny gets the calls because it's closed because it's too cold. The hydraulic system doesn't work. It hasn't been emptied, so it's full, so we can't allow people to add trash. I can't see where the city should be responsible for your schedule, your maintenance. We're just.
They're not responsible for our maintenance. I don't know
Well, if we were to do this, we would need a contract, a maintenance contract that said, what sort of schedule is your preventative maintenance going to be done on? What sort of schedule are you actually going to pick up trash? How often is it going to be emptied? What is the penalty if the compactor is closed because of inactivity from your repair organization? And I think there should be financial penalties to the county if you don't meet those contractual requirements.
Well, we don't have a penalty against the cities when they leave bicycles and all this other stuff out in your sites that we get hit by KDHE for, because we don't control that. We don't do that. We don't have control over that. So how's that fair? And I'm not trying to we're not trying to put anything on you. I don't understand why this is like a homeowner and a contractor agreement. That's not, or a contract. That's not what this is. This is just giving you guys, Pleasanton, you guys don't like your site where it's at, right? I mean, I think I can say majority opinion in Pleasanton is they don't like it where it's at in the middle of the ball fields. So you guys have wanted to move.
We have addressed the move
I've had
once or twice.
It's been addressed to me my entire time up set here, and I feel like that's your guys' you guys should have the opportunity to do that if that's what you want to do. I don't think that has anything to do with me. I don't think I should be able to decide. I don't get to decide what land you guys annex into the city of Pleasanton. So why would I have anything to do with where your trash compactor is?
Well, actually, if you look at state statute,
that's a whole different story. But you know what I mean.
Annexation.
But it ain't worked like that for years. But you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying, but you say you have no control over our employees. We have no control or input into your maintenance schedule or your repair schedule.
That's what I'm trying, and that's exactly what I'm trying to address right now. That gives us, I feel like that if we get this all lined out, that gives us time to to focus on our equipment that is, it's aged. It's very much aged. And you guys, we just all work together. I don't understand where this is like pointing the fingers at you guys, or you guys say, how dare you want us to do this? Like, that's not the case at all.
It's because it's not defined out in the contract.
Okay, well, the contract is never defined out. I mean, there's always going to be pros and cons to it, whichever way you look. It's not going to fit everybody. Everybody's going to be upset about it.
And I think when they talk about addendums to fit the city's specific site, you talk about the homeowners associations, and you said they own their land, they own their equipment. Are you charging them to haul off the waste?
No. But they also pay for their electricity. They pay for their crushing equipment, their buttons, all the electrical that goes to it. We pay for that for Pleasanton.
And they continue to pay taxes, just like the residents of the city.
And we provide you guys with $325 a month. We don't provide them with anything.
Yeah, okay. Well, it says in this agreement under line number 6 that if the site isn't open to the public, it becomes the sole responsibility of the municipality. It says city, it doesn't address homeowners association. The issue is, this is clear as mud. It doesn't appear that there was a lot of consideration given to writing this thing. One shoe doesn't fit all.
But it has for 40 years, and it's operated just like this without a contract. So what do? Do we just stop all trash service until we get a contract in hand, or what?
We work together.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I don't understand. I'm not trying to we're paying for your licensing. We're paying for everything. All we're asking is for you guys to take accountability for your employees and be able to put the site wherever you want it without any.
If that's what you wanted, why doesn't it say that in the contract? The contract doesn't say what you're saying.
Okay, well, 2 weeks ago, we talked about this too, and I thought we had everything lined out, but I mean, it's changed. Nobody's going to be accepting to it. That's what I've learned my whole time sitting here.
Yeah, I like the idea.
I mean, how would you guys feel right now if there wasn't no contract, but the rules were reversed? The city of Pleasanton. It wouldn't fly, would it?
Yeah, it would, because we have a basic responsibility to our citizenry to provide public services. We charge them out the butt. We are one of the highest charged or taxed counties in the state, and our return for investment is not that great. Just make it so that it is clear and that it shows that there's some consideration written into a contract. This stuff wouldn't make it in 5th grade for determining who's hall monitor. We need to do a better job of delineating what needs to be done. You talk about our responsibilities. Yeah, we do have responsibility, but I will ask you this. When is the last time the county provided an operator's manual or an update or input to the cities?
I have no idea. And that's what I want to get lined out here.
We take responsibility. I mean, they're within our city boundaries. If we're contaminating things, it affects the people that live in our city a lot more directly than it affects your backyard. Just make the contract a useful legal document instead of toilet paper.
You guys got any more?
I don't know.
All right. David, you got anything else?
Did contact Capers, but I've not gotten a response back yet, so I don't have any additional information on that at this point.
So I think we should go ahead and move forward with accepting that resolution for the KPNF, and then we'll figure out exactly the numbers, the studies before the end of the year, or before the beginning of the year.
Okay.
How do you feel, Jim?
I'm not against going to it, but I just feel that we spent money and we didn't get the information that we asked for before it came time. That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not against the switching over. I mean, we talked about it, but I just feel that we should have saved our money on that deal. If this is we had a lot of time, and she told us at the time she could get it back to us. And,
Right.
you know, that it was months, I believe.
July 8th.
That's what I was.
And I think myself, we could wait the week and see, and not that I'm against doing it. I just think we should be able to look at what we said we would, and we told everybody we'd spend the money to look into it, and here we are. It's come time and we haven't done it.
Well, David, we have to have that in by the end of the month or end of the week?
That's, well, this week basically is the month. So, yeah.
So can we look into it and then give me the authorization to sign it? If we all agree upon, I mean, I guess how could we do that? I don't know.
We'd have to have.
Who told you we had to have this signed by then?
That's what I read reading through this the other day, was that they have to be in 30 days before the start of, let me find it here. Hang on.
Calendar year.
I just wanted to say thank you for your time. And I noticed that there was a reference to a change that had already been made that we didn't have. So just send us the contract and the new contract so we can review when you have a revised contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
A certified copy of the resolution should be filed with Capers no later than 30 days before the date participation to begin. So that's what I was looking at on that part of it.
Like I said, I'm okay with signing the resolution to move forward, but I'd still like to know what the exact number.
And I'm sure I will get more information back from them, but I don't have it yet.
So I'll make a motion that we move forward, sign the resolution, and then figure out the numbers.
Actually, two. That's 2024-34 and -35.
Resolution 2024-34 and -35.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I've got them here, Danny, and these are set up where it's just the chairman is the one that signs. So. I've already, it's just the bottom line of each one. And then I will seal them and then we'll go from there and see what I can get done. The only, well, are you ready for anything else, sir?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
You spent a fair amount of time discussing with a couple of the cities these compactor agreements. We do have, did you say 5 there that are already signed by other cities and or lakes? Do you want to, it's signed by them but not us, is that correct?
I think we should probably just wait until we
Get everything figured out.
get it put in the wording what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and we can get everything finalized.
Which I understand that point of view. I'm thinking if you do decide to make changes, then you're probably gonna need to go back to those cities and get them to sign new copies.
Correct. Yep.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.